I'd like to call to order the meeting of August 21st, 2018. Would you all please stand for the invocation, pledge allegiance to the flag.
Lord, we pray that you give our council members the faith and courage to carry on their duties. Help them to do right, to deal fairly with others, and to place their trust in you. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Here. 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 Here.
Here. Hello?
Here. 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 You all received the meeting minutes from July 17th. Any questions or comments on those? Not, they'll stand as presented. We received a letter from Marty Knowles requesting permission to hold a block party again this year on North Elm Street on September 29th, 2018 from 5 to 8:30 and requesting the use of city barricades for blocking off the street. We'll need a motion. You received reports from the Park Recreation and Cemetery Board meeting minutes of June 25th, as well as Planning Commission special meeting minutes of August 8th, and the Planning Commission meeting minutes of August 14th. Questions or comments on those?
Yeah, I do have one. I noticed that there was some discussion about the new Wings place being issued they're planning to have a brewing book. It looks like beer and wine serving at that place, and then also in looking at the records on the state's alcohol control board, it appears that Rails has also applied for licenses for both brewing beer and wine. And you know, I'm kind of concerned because it seems like it's almost like an end run for an organization to do that when currently I don't think there are any available retail licenses for restaurants and stuff in town. So instead of doing something that would have required voter approval, they're doing something which doesn't require voter approval, and a voter approval would be required for both of those in that precinct.
Rails removed their request.
Well, they still have the license pending at the Division of Alcohol Control.
Well, we did talk to them about it, and they informed us that they were going to withdraw that request. It had already been submitted, but there was no intent to add that to that facility.
We approved food, but nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that in the minutes.
And also, with the wings, it is only for beer.
Well, they have submitted a license for both beer and wine.
The only thing they informed the planning commission was for beer.
Okay. They just I copied the stuff off the site from the seat, but they submitted a license for an A1C. I don't know what the designations are, but one of them was wine, one of them was beer, and they also filed one for a pending license for a D6, which is Sunday sales of alcohol, which would be normally required voter approval. So it's just a concern because it seems like, you know, are they really planning on brewing beer and or wine, and do they realize that they can only serve what they produce on their premises?
They did, and they told us that they've already hired someone to do the brewing and have the location set aside in the facility over here to do it.
Okay.
Questions?
But the other place, they completely withdrew.
Okay. But the license still shows up on the liquor.
They applied. I think they applied for the license before they came to. Any other questions on those? All right, and we will move into, number 8. First up, we have Tom Butch here from Community Outreach Specialist of CCH Environmental Group to discuss single trash hauler and curbside recycling.
Good evening. Thank you very much for allowing me to be here to address council this evening. As the mayor said, Tom Butch, CCH Environmental Group, which is a local solid waste district that covers Carroll County, Columbiana County, and Harrison counties. Our office is in Carrollton. Recycling is the best way to reduce the amount of garbage going to landfills, and that's basically why the solid waste districts were formed in the state of Ohio. And it's to decrease the amount of garbage going to landfills. Everybody probably has a pretty decent idea that it's more and more expensive all the time to create new landfill space, and it's harder and harder to come by new space for new landfills also. So recycling is the best way to reduce the amount of garbage going to landfills, and basically that's the reason the solid waste district was formed in the state of Ohio. When I started talking to people about recycling in general, most people were pretty surprised to realize when I say that basically about 80% of the household materials that we use in everyday life can be recycled. So there's a large amount of material out there that can be recycled and should be recycled for a lot of different good reasons. CCH Environmental Group maintains 73 different drop-off collection recycling sites across the 3 counties, including the ones across the alley here. And we have 9 bins across the alley here. Those bins across the alley are empty 4 times a week, and they're always overflowing, so they're getting very heavily used, which is fantastic. But there's so much more material coming out of the city of Columbiana, I'm sure that could be recycled. The statistics throughout the industry of recycling across the country show that drop-off collection sites, like the ones across the alley here, basically somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 30% of residents participate in that kind of recycling program. So tonight I want to talk just a little bit about the idea of a single hauler contract for curbside recycling and garbage hauling. Curbside recycling programs across the country have the industry standards say that basically about 60 to 80% of residents participate in that type of recycling program. Most people support the idea of recycling, and a lot of people will not participate unless it's very convenient for them also. A lot of people won't even take their materials to these drop-off bins across the alley. But they can put their curbside, their recycling out on the curb in a different container, right beside a garbage container. It does get much more convenient for that than the people recycle. And you get a lot more people participating. As I said, 60–80% of the industry says in curbside recycling programs versus about 20 to 30% participated in the drop-off collection sites. So I just want to talk, one other thing I want to talk about real quick also. First is contamination. Things going into these drop-off collection sites that should not be there, things that cannot be recycled. We've seen it all out there. We see mattresses, box springs, chairs, sofas. We've even had dead animals at some of our sites across the 3 counties. It's pretty amazing what's in there. I think it's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 30, 35, maybe 40% contamination rate in some of these drop-off recycling sites sometimes. It's not so bad here in the city where there's a lot more eyes on the site all the time. But some of our more rural sites, I think it's probably up around 40% contamination. It's an easy and convenient way for people to drop off their garbage, basically. So contamination is a huge problem. We have CCH Environmental Group contracts with 2 different hauling companies, Kimball Waste and Ohio Valley Waste out of Pennsylvania. All of our recycling materials that we collect out of these drop-off bins goes to one of those 2 companies. And a lot of people think that we're getting paid for those recyclable materials that we bring to those 2 companies. Actually, just the opposite is true. Because of all the contamination problems, we're paying over $200,000 annually just for Kimball and Ohio Valley Waste to take the materials that comes from these bins. Over $200,000 annually, basically because of the contamination problem. So I just want to speak real quickly about the idea of a single hauler contract for garbage and curbside recycling. Curbside recycling is by far the best way to get the most material recycled, as I mentioned. And it's also the best way to have the least amount of contamination also, because you have a bin on wheels, just like your garbage bin, that you put out on the curb for curbside recycling. You get a lot less contamination that way than in these drop-off collection sites. So, it's the curbside idea, recycling is a good idea basically for that reason, because of a lot less contamination, a lot less material being recycled also. But there's other good benefits for the curbside recycling program also. In the city of Columbiana, I'm not sure how many the number is, but I'm sure there's quite a few different garbage haulers operating within the city of Columbiana right now. those heavy trucks are on the streets 5, probably maybe sometimes 6 days a week. They can do a lot of damage to the streets. Those trucks tear up the streets pretty badly. So if you go to a single hauler contract, you have one company operating on the streets at all times, and you have, trucks operating on the street maybe once a week, twice a week at the most. Some companies might have 2 different trucks going around, one for garbage and one for the curbside recycling also. Just an example, down in the village of Lisbon, where we have the drop-off collection sites behind the County Educational Service Center there. Our trucks are in there, and it's kind of a tight spot where our trucks go in there and have to jockey around to empty those bins. That blacktop parking lot in the Educational Service Center is being torn up pretty badly right now. So the Educational Service Center wants us to take those bins out of there and find another site, just because of our trucks are tearing up the parking lot so badly. So, that's one consideration of the curbside recycling program, is not having nearly as many companies or nearly as many trucks operating on the streets at all times also. So, you get the benefit of curbside recycling along with the garbage if you go to a contract with a single hauler. You get the benefit of possible free garbage services for the village. That's something that could be negotiated within a contract. Some places have done that. You get the cost reduced for residents, and it's been proven many times over when cities and villages enter into these types of contracts, the cost for residents does come down quite a bit, actually. So there's a lot of good reasons to doing it. A lot of people are opposed to the idea of a single contract hauler contract, a single hauler contract, because it does take away their choice of local garbage, using a garbage hauler they want to use. So Mayor John Berlin in Salem recently came out with the idea of what they call a preferred hauler contract. The city of Hudson does this already right now. It seems to be pretty successful up there. Preferred hauler contract, the way I like to explain it best is, I know I was talking to a couple of councilmen earlier, the city of Columbiana has already entered into agreements for electric and gas aggregation. Electric and gas aggregation, you bundle a lot of different residents together, get a lower contract price for the residents. Preferred hauler option is pretty much the same thing. You have a contract with one hauler company, and so by doing that, you get a lot of residents together, you get a reduced price for the garbage, but you also get a lot of other benefits, like the curbside recycling, a lot less truck traffic on the streets, tearing up the streets, and other things like that. So the gas and electric aggregation programs also have an opt-out clause for the citizens that do not want to participate. If they don't participate, they're not going to get a reduced price, of course. And it's the same thing with the preferred hauler contract for garbage and curbside recycling. People can opt out of it. They don't have to go with the preferred hauler if they want to. Don't want to. Other garbage haulers can still operate within the city. They still have to be permitted by the city and things like that, of course. But it's a way of getting into a curbside recycling program and still have a choice for the citizens out there. The ones that do participate in the preferred hauler program, they have a reduced price, cost for garbage, and then get a lot of materials taken care of by curbside recycling also. So I just want to throw that option out there for council. I just wanted to come tonight and just talk about it just a little bit, just to try to keep the conversation going. A lot of you have probably seen in the local papers. I've been around talking to the city of Salem, Lithonia, Lisbon here just recently. Washingtonville's been talking about it now also. So I'm just trying to keep the conversation going, trying to get the correct information out there, because a lot of times there's a lot of misinformation. And I just want to see if we can hopefully do something in this area in the future with curbside recycling. So that's all I have.
Very well presented.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, we have Linda Linebaugh to request permission to hold the Josie's 5K race on September 1st, 2018 in the city of Columbiana.
Hi, everyone. We've been through this before. Thank you so much for listening. I was actually not planning on being the one to present this race because I was not the director of it. It's actually Stephanie and Nicole Finland. who own Josie's Restaurant, who wanted to present this race in honor of their cousin, Michael Covert, who lived in Columbiana and passed away of what I am reading is a very terrible disease. I guess the kids who are born with this disease have very fragile skin. That's why they call them butterfly children, because their skin is a lot like a butterfly's wing. You touch it, even with like this little bit of friction, they've got blood that starts boiling up on their skin, and it's very, very painful for them. So they have found the one organization that helps with this disease called epidermolysis bullosa, and the organization, the nonprofit that does help with it, is called Deborah. So they wanted to put this race on and give all the funds to Deborah. They will not be keeping any of the funds earned from this race. They are donating their own money for the insurance. They are doing absolutely everything out of their own pockets for right now. And they expect nothing in return. They just want to give it all away in honor of Michael.
Have you reviewed this, Chief?
I have not, but Kevin's here tonight. We've everything to offer. We don't know any.
I have not reviewed this. I talked to Linda about 6 weeks ago, and she was gonna call me back in a week, and I never heard from her again. This is getting...
He asked me to take it not through the main streets that I did have it on, so I opted to go through what is pretty close to the night before Christmas 5K route. It's just in reverse.
It's a much better route than she initially presented to me.
I thought you'd like that better.
Any objection to the route of the day? Do we have any conflicts on that day?
When they conflicts, it's just short notice.
I know that I won't be able to vote for this because Josh and I are helping with this particular event, and so we will be there helping with the start and the finish of the race itself. But on that regard, I can say that that part's taken care of.
Are you looking for anything from us, Linda, from the police department? Other than the route approval?
Really, the route approval, and there is the one section back by Terra Verde and Park Place that I know are actually the public roads, and that they are on it for a short period of time, and it goes right back into the park, and it finishes right in front of Josie's.
Okay, we don't have any problem with the route. I don't guess, listening to Kevin, the problem might be just trying to get it staffed, because we're spread so thin with what we're trying to spare auxiliaries to cover already, but we'll do our best to help.
If you're working with Crystal, I'm sure she already told you that we prefer almost demand that the route be marked with temporary markers rather than being.
Absolutely.
Great.
I think that's why they asked me to do this, because they know I've done Memorial Run. It's like, okay, I don't really want to direct this, but I'll do it for you.
Anything that would be passed tonight would have to be pending park board approval, which is next Monday.
And I do have plans on being there, thank you. I actually didn't know I had to do that until I spoke with John earlier today.
Need a motion, Brian? I'll make a motion, under the conditions that the park board, come, gives you their permission also to have a 5K run in honor of Michael Covert.
Thank you.
Any other comments? No roll call?
Yes.
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 Abstain.
Yes.
There may be a couple other seats in here if you guys want to sit down.
Thank you all.
I offer up if you understand with that.
Okay. The manager's report.
So we did get some, new regulations, there's been some new regulations passed regarding credit cards, it's called House Bill 312. Entities using credit cards have 90 days to put formal credit card policies in, so we're gonna be working on that, over the next month, and, try to get that to you in September. Mike's looking into that now, he's actually met with a bank. Prior to this, we never had an actual credit card, we just had 2 debit cards, and we'll just, go back to 2 credit cards.
Just a note, House Bill 312 prohibits the use of debit cards by municipalities and villages and townships. So what we have is debit card, which what that does is the money, when we use it, comes directly out of our bank account. That's why it is prohibited. So if we want to still keep a credit card, we have to pass legislation and have a policy in place.
Are they worried about a paper trail, or?
I think they're more worried about fraud, you know, that they could get into your accounts easier. All the fraudsters out there, be able to get into your bank account easier than they can a credit card.
Also access to ATMs later.
At the last planning commission meeting, Columbiana Boiler is coming forward to, presented that potential project in the, closure of, portion of Railroad Street, so we've seen that, next process is they'll end up coming back to planning commission, and then, planning commission will make a, recommendation to council, but just wanna kind of let you know that it's coming down the pipe. Legislation regarding the CRA is on the agenda. We got that done. I did note that we were talking to Salem on Friday, and they're currently looks like they expanded their project, their CRA for new residential construction. They're 15 years, 100%. The 30-day startup is June 3rd June 23rd on the water plant. The old plant has been fully demolished and covered up. We are treating water and continue to tweak and make adjustments. Still haven't worked out the ribbon cutting yet. I'm going to try to come up with some dates soon when we feel we're ready. Fire station's coming along well. A lot of the siding's on and roof's on. Just need some doors and windows. We did hold a pre-construction meeting for the sewer project that's going to take place in mid-September. Still working on the door application that we talked about last time. In September, there'll be some days that I'm going to be gone, so I talked with Dick about making Mike standby city manager at that time. So maybe when we're done with this, we can do that on the new business. Street department, town cleanup occurred. We took in 240 tires. We took in 11 40-yard dumpsters. Those are the great big ones. We did have a lot of people come to the park, which we thank you for doing that. We patched a lot of holes with hot mix. We paved Stanton and Manor. We're going to try to do weather pending Creek Road in the cemetery soon. We did fix some catch basins throughout Firestone Farms, Old Saybrook, and Arrowhead recently. We did perform a brush pickup, which leads me to we were contacted by the people that take our brush and leaves. We've been doing this for probably at least 5 years. We've been using JDF. They are not going to take our brush or leaves anymore. So it's, we're kind of looking for alternatives right now. We're going to have to create a site. We think we can handle this year, but we're going to have to bring them back into town. Put them somewhere, and then hire somebody to come out there and grind them up and make mulch. As this progresses, we're hoping somebody else will come forward and start doing this. JDS was so convenient, didn't have to drive very far, just right outside of town, on 14, but, they're not gonna do it anymore, so we've got kind of a year to figure it out. We're gonna go ahead and move forward, with the leaf pickup, and the brush pickup as we have been, but, next year we're gonna have to look at, some alternatives.
Have we considered purchasing or obtaining a, chipper shredder type thing and using that on the brush pickup?
We could even hire somebody to come in there and do that, to shred it, but then what do you do with the chips? That's what we have to look at. I mean, that's gonna be a big pile.
Yeah, some communities, do that and then make it available to residents to use it for mulch.
Workman Township is kind of like that, they have a spot up there, and, all you have to do is show your utility bill,
Okay.
and you're free to come in to take as much as you need.
We got a community bonfire.
I think we got to pass it.
Marshmallows there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, marshmallows.
We were glad to hear, I've been in contact with Ace Hardware, and they're once again donating all the leaf bags, along with Tom Butcher's group that just spoke solid waste. They're gonna donate a portion of them, and then, Ace Hardware's gonna pick up the rest of them. And, those flyers, we're creating those now, so it'll be much like last year, just the dates are gonna be switched around a little bit, just because of the change of the days in the calendar. For the water department, we're simply, working on a few punch list items. We have one of our last job meetings next, Wednesday, for the new water plant. Wastewater department, they, cleaned, several storm sewers. The Vector, went to Twinsburg, got, repaired and is back in service now. They, went out with the Vector after it got back and went out to Park Shop and helped them. They're working on a project, out there behind the shops. We did clean some storm lines and, floor drains out there, in preparation for that new work. They did some general maintenance around the plant. The, old chapel, we're working I think it was one of the last council meetings we mentioned we were having a difficult time, finding a contractor to help us out on that project. And Katie wrote that, letter, and that morning by 8:30, we had 2 calls, so we've got somebody lined up. We had contacted 8 different contractors. Excited about that. Electric department, they did a major, cutout replacement, some hardware that's on the, poles. We did 103 of them, took about 3 weeks to do. And that's to, increase dependability. While they were up there, they put the, squirrel guards on, the poles and some other, animal guards. Electric department, they went over to, Western PA for, equipment demonstration, safety meeting. They also hung the banner for street fair. They're working on a pole numbering project, which they're putting all new numbers on there. And with that, I was gonna throw it over to, Chief Planetary, just give us a couple reports.
Thank you. I got a couple things, almost good news for a change, just good. Sure, a lot of people are wondering about the, status of the canine and what's going on with the dog. I got some preliminary reports here on activity, and we've had the time he's been on the road, we've had a total of 14 deployments. 9 of those were for detection for narcotics, 5 were patrol related. On the patrol related deployments, we had 2 suspect apprehensions with him already. We've done building searches. The speed and accuracy of these searches is important. We've done Columbiana High School a couple of times with open doors, and where we can clear that in 10 to 15 minutes with a canine, and it takes about 3 times that long with personnel. So it's saving us time and energy, and it's a lot safer, and the dog is a lot more able to detect a threat than a human. The detection-related deployments, we had 4 of those. Contraband has been located each time. Some of those arrests are pending lab analysis of narcotics that were found in cars that we've stopped. We've assisted the Ohio State Highway Patrol, Beaver Township Police, and the Washingtonville Police Department with a standoff that they had down there. And I can tell you that the presence of the K-9 is a huge deterrent and a major game changer. We've been very happy so far. Kind of a side note that we started out this project looking for $60,000 in community support to get this off the ground. And as of today, I can tell you that we have made that goal. And that's incredible. That is incredible. This is community support from people, some of you right here in this audience. And if you'd have told me when Brian Granchi came to me and said, let's do this, I said, you're out of your mind. There's no way we're going to make that. And then he got it underway and kicked it off, and we went from there, and I got involved and got excited about it, and we made it. I mean, thanks to everybody for helping us, and we always look for continued support going forward. And if there's things that you want to help with, we're glad to take that. You want me to go into the other 2?
Sure.
Okay. Just before you do, Chief, does our dog have a vest?
Yeah, not yet. We have that on order. He had to be fitted, and he will have the vest and all that. It is on order. That's about a $2,500 item. But you know, to save your life, just like the officers. He's sworn. He's if you assault him, he's just like a police officer. But yes, we do have that protection coming for him. Okay. Any other questions on it? Okay. School resource officers. The next project we kicked off. The school board moved pretty fast on this, and they wanted to get something done, and there were a number of things under consideration, and we settled on the school resource officer idea. You're aware that you passed the legislation. Wade Boley has been appointed. He started yesterday with the orientations with the school staff. There are some people expressed interest in the department, but Wade has so many qualifications, it's really hard to list to me. Has all the necessary training already in place from his 7 years of working with the school. He knows the staff, he knows the processes and procedures of our department and the schools. He wrote the emergency response plans and has drilled them, so he's intimately familiar with those. He's a combat veteran from 2 branches of the armed forces. Great guy to have on your side when things go sideways. So we're glad to have him up there, and we're underway with that. Ohio is second in the nation for school shootings since 2017. We're only one behind number 1, which was California. It's not a good place to be, but we're going to try and meet the goal of working with the superintendent and enhancing that great relationship. And it's imperative that we meet the challenges of keeping children as safe as possible in our schools. We're glad to have that program in place. And thanks to all of you for supporting that and for the quick action on that, because it moved pretty quickly. I'm surprised we were able to get it done in a month. It's created a whole series of move-ups and changes that I'm trying to pedal as fast as I can to keep up with and replace those positions. And you'll hear more about that coming into the next meeting. The other thing, you're ready to do the auxiliary appointments, or is that something that's coming?
You want to jump right into those, or Brian?
Yeah, we need a motion to concur with the city manager and the chief of police to appoint Justin Neff, Alexander Plant, and Nicholas Leonardo to the Columbiana Police Auxiliary Force.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I discussed these individuals. This is a trying time in law enforcement, so for somebody to step up and want to put themselves in this position is admirable. This is a noble and honorable profession, and I'm really proud of these guys for stepping up. When I tell you a little bit about them, you'll understand. But not only that, but this is a front row seat to the greatest show on earth. You can't have any more fun than you're going to have being a police officer. Justin Neff, 18 years old. He resides in Austintown with his family. He just graduated from the Mahoning County Career and Technical Center in their public safety program, so he's got some background there. Plans on attending Youngstown State this fall. He's an Eagle Scout. He also has a lot of experience in our Explorer post for the last 5 years. The last 2 years as president. So he's got some accomplishment. He works with the dispatcher for Lane Life Brands. He soon hopes to be working as an EMT. He's been very active here in our community already. We're glad to have Justin. Alexander Plant, 18, he resides in Canfield with his family. He just graduated from the Canfield High School and will be attending Akron University this fall. He's enrolled in the ROTC program. So clearly he's a driven and motivated individual. He's a very active member of our Explorer post. For the last 4 years, he served in a number of leadership capacities and we're glad to attract people like Alexander to our particular profession. Nicholas Leonardo was 20, he lives in Youngstown with his family. He graduated last year from Boardman High. We don't hold that against him, however. We'd like to have him right here in Columbiana. He's a volunteer youth wrestling coach. He's also planning on attending the police academy at YSU in the spring of 2019. So we're looking forward to having him take our civil service exam at some point, move into our part-time ranks, and hopefully into full-time at some point. We believe he'll be an asset to our department. This is the way we like to identify personnel. This is the way we've been successful in getting great personnel like we have now. We start them when they're 14, we make them auxiliaries when they're 18, part-time when they're 21, they take the test when we hire them. We've known them 10 years when they come on the road and they know us. And that's the way we like to have it. We have another individual that came along that route, standing in the back of the room in support of these guys here. And he comes from, he's third generation law enforcement. So we're glad to have these guys, and I recommend them to you without hesitation, without reservation. If you have any questions, I'll ask you.
Yeah, who is Justin?
Yeah, why don't we?
Like, Austin? Did I get that right?
Alexander.
Sorry. Okay, and Nick. Okay, pleasure to meet you, boys.
Any other questions? Have roll call?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Bud?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Becker?
Yes.
I think that, Mr. Hudson has some, papers up there that will swear.
I state your name.
You can stand.
Raise your right hand, please. Sorry.
I, Justin, yes.
I, Alexander Plant. I, Nicholas Leonardo. Do solemnly swear. Do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the State of Ohio. The Constitution of the State of Ohio. And the Charter and ordinances of the City of Columbiana, Ohio. The Charter and ordinances of the City of Columbiana, Ohio. And that I will faithfully discharge my duties. And I will faithfully discharge my duties. As Reserve Police Officer Auxiliary Unit. As Reserve Police Officer Auxiliary Unit. To which I've been appointed. To which I've been appointed. Thank you. Welcome.
You'll be able to repeat that as part of the test.
You have anything else, Lance?
Just that we did get contacted by Rite Aid, this will be coming up in September. They just wanted to touch base, they tried to get it on this agenda, but they didn't make it. They just went through a $448,000 upgrade, and they're applying for an economic development, transfer of a license from another place that closed in Cleveland. I'll get all that stuff to you. It's a standard process. We've done it before for others. But basically, it's going to allow them to sell beer, and it'll be in your packet. But spoke to them a lot yesterday, and also talked to Mark a lot last few days, just to kind of understand the process. But just to kind of give you a heads up, next meeting, we'll have all that information. And I think that's it.
Sir, I'll miss one thing, I need to say this, I'm sorry to interrupt. On the K-9 program, we were this close to the end, and I got a phone call from Roland Gosney, he said, how close are you? And I told him how close we were. He says, I'll cover that, and that's how we got to the end. And I neglected to mention that. He came about his service often, we appreciate him, but you know, too. I'm sorry.
You'll receive the bill list for August 7th and August 21st. Any questions or comments on those? No, we'll move into old business. Due to length of the ordinance, can I have a motion to read by title only?
Second.
A roll call?
McBain?
Yes.
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 Miller?
Yes.
Becker?
Yes.
Souter?
Yes.
We all know they weren't here for us. Ordinance number 18-0-2977, second reading. An ordinance setting a salary, establishing a position and other conditions of employment for the city manager of the city of Columbiana.
So moved.
Second.
Any comment? Well deserved. A roll call?
Brewster?
Yes.
Bunk?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Becker?
Yes.
Souter?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Moving on to new business, I need a motion to approve the request from Marty Knowles to hold a block party again this year on North Elm Street on September 29th from 5 to 8:30, and request the use of city barricade for blocking off the street.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
Chief, were you okay with all of that down there?
We have had no unreasonable challenges when they did it before,
Did we do something in the past with the motion to make space for fire truck to be able to go through?
I think that the movable barricades, and I think that's the purpose of them, and,
Okay.
you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's our position that if there's no one to move the barricades, we will get through the barricades.
Okay. Have a roll call?
Bunk?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Becker?
Yes.
Souter?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Liston?
Yes.
I have a motion to read the next ordinance as an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Have a roll call?
Miller?
Yes.
Becker?
Yes.
Souter?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Liston?
Yes.
Bunk?
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-0-2978, emergency. An emergency ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Horizon Brothers Painting Corporation from Howell, Michigan for the 1 million gallon water tank renovations for the city of Columbiana.
So moved.
Second.
Any comment? A roll call?
Becker?
Yes.
Souter?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Liston?
Yes.
Bunk?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-0-2979, first reading. An ordinance implementing section 3735.65 through 3735.70 of the Ohio Revised Code, establishing and describing the boundaries of community reinvestment area within the city of Columbiana, and designated a housing officer to administer the program, and creating a community reinvestment housing council and a tax incentive review council.
So moved. Second.
Any comments on this?
If you have any questions, from an understanding standpoint. My understanding of this is that if someone decides to do something like put an addition on their house, that, this would allow for the, increase in real estate taxes, to be waived for whatever period of time it's specified. So, if I'm spending $75,000 for an addition on my house, and for some reason the county only, saw it as a $50,000 addition, it would only be that amount of addition.
Good point.
Okay. And the second thing is that if I were to go in and remodel my kitchen, for example, and spend, $10,000 or $15,000 doing it, that wouldn't necessarily have any increase in the tax assessment on the that wouldn't really have any, in that case, have any.
Great, that's taxable.
Yeah, it's only when there's an increase in taxable, valuation of the property that it makes it.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? A roll call?
Souter,
Yes.
McBain,
Yes.
Liston,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
I have one, motion I'd like to make. Okay. It's not on the agenda, but it was covered in the, manager's report. City manager is planning on being out of town for, some period during September, and I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Mike as the acting city manager, during the month of September, when the city manager is out of town or otherwise unavailable.
Second. That was a motion.
That was a motion.
I second it.
Any comments? Roll call?
McBain,
Yes.
Liston,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
Souter,
Yes.
Anyone from the public want to address council this evening? No? We'll move into council comments.
I was down by Arby's today, in that area that's behind them, in the bank and the Chinese restaurant. That parking lot is deplorable. If anyone goes through there at night and has no idea, somebody's gonna be in an accident, they're definitely gonna damage the car. I don't know who to bring that up to, but it definitely needs to be addressed.
You can give a courtesy call to your comment.
Yes, I agree with you, Dan. Parking lots, often full.
Earlier we just, approved the salary for Lance. I wanted to, say that I probably bugged Lance in the past 2 weeks, almost every other day, about something that's been brought to my attention, and, I mean, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is, what time of the day, he just gets back to me and says, well, this is what I know, or this is what I'm gonna follow up on, and he just takes care of it. I cannot say enough about his response time to the concerns of the community that when that stuff's brought to his attention. So thank you, Lance.
Oh, appreciate it.
Well, another thing to be said about that is, if it wasn't for Lance's ability to get all the grants that he's gotten for us, easily one or two issues, we wouldn't have anywhere near the things done within the city that we have done so far, or the taxes would be going up. So, he's helped us an awful lot.
Appreciate that. It's a team effort. That's all you can.
I received this letter at City Hall this week that says, "You do know how happy Stanton Drive residents are. We are grateful," several exclamation marks. "No more dodging potholes. Please let the street department know that we thank them. There certainly is a talent to the repaving. I watched for quite a while. Columbiana is so fortunate to have caring employees. We have a very special city. Thanks to all of the crews and each person for their work."
I'd add one more thing onto that. These crews work together. They're individual street crews, water crews, etc. But they just swap back and forth, and they don't have to do that. They swap back and forth and work together to get the job done. And that is, to me, that's super critical.
And just to add, with the paving, to thank Fairfield Township also. Their crews helped out a lot.
Any other comments? Motion to adjourn.